So in this episode, we have a look at my 1964 Toyota Crown wagon. Krusty is its name. So I wanted to show you this car because today we're going to go on a trip to go pick up another shell. This is my good shell. I picked this up a few years ago off a gentleman through eBay. It had been sitting in a paddock for a while. It's not too bad. It has a bit of rust. It was complete when I bought it. Got it for, I think it was $300. These cars aren't very sought after in this country, and I don't think any other country. They're based on the old Fairlane, Ford Fairlanes. They kind of look like them from the 1960s, but a little bit smaller. I really like the shape, and it's a Toyota. I'm a little biased, so didn't come with the paint changed, obviously. I bought it complete, like that. So that part of the car it looked like on the front. Crusty and maroon, which is the worst color in the world. So they were a factory drum brake, which is scary. I have some discs for that off our early Hilux. Apparently the knuckles and hubs change over, which is good. The car itself is pretty straight. Doesn't really have many dents and whatnot. It does have some rust, which we will address eventually. I like working on these older stuff because sheet metal's a bit thicker. It's a bit easier to weld patches in without the whole thing warping a lot, like the older stuff, like the newer stuff, sorry. Bench seat front and rear, so it's a 6-seater. They had a column shift. This one was a column shift manual, which I've removed and done something else. I'll go into more detail with this car later on. I'm just showing you initially what we're starting with, and then we're going to go get another shell. These had round tail lights. The next model up had rectangle ones. I really like the round tail lights. They're pretty cool. It's missing some chrome trim on the back, which I now have from another shell. Chrome bumpers are pretty good. You can see the rust in the tailgate. But I have another tailgate which has no rust in it. I'm just going to use that and keep this one as a spare. As you can see, it's being used as a storage unit for now because I don't really have much space. So the poor thing just got stuff stacked all over it. Lots of chrome trim. I've had this car for about 3 years and it's been in storage most of that time. I've only put it in here about a year ago and started working on it. These things were a 4-cylinder, factory 4-cylinder, which were terrible. That went in the bin pretty quickly. So what I did so far, all I've done is stripped back the engine bay to bare metal. There was only a little bit of rust that I had to fix in the front corner, but it was pretty easy. This is a factory Toyota peppermint green color from the 1960s, so nice and period correct, and it suits the car. It's going to look really nice when it's all done. I'm going to keep a white sort of white cream roof, and then this will be all the rest of the car, and I'll keep all the chrome and everything. This motor is not the factory motor, obviously. It is out of mid-90s Toyota Hilux or 4Runner. It's a 2.4 litre 4-cylinder turboed diesel. Yes, it's a diesel motor because I'm going to be using this car as my daily / tow car. And another reason is this engine bay is so tiny. Like, that's a 4-cylinder and it's only just fitting. That's the factory radiator from the Crown, which I'm going to use because it's really good condition. But these things are so short on the nose, and the engine bay is really narrow as well because of the upper control arms sticking really far. You couldn't even fit like a Commodore V6 or Buick motor or LS1. It just, more so because the transmission tunnel is really small as well. You couldn't fit the 4L80, I think, the GM automatic transmissions, without cutting the transmission tunnel out, and I was not going to do that. So it's automatic. It's going to be automatic. I'll keep it column shift automatic. I won't cut the tunnel for a shifter. I'll leave that all bench seat because I want to keep the bench seat. And yeah, this is as far as I got with this one. And we're going to go get another shell for spare parts because you can't really go to the wreckers and get stuff with these anymore. They're a little old and most of them are crushed. They sold quite a few in Australia. They sold wagons, sedans and utes. The utes are probably the most popular over here because we're kind of a ute country, I guess. We love our utes. I love the wagon because you can stack stuff in the back and you can sleep in the back because the back seats fold down flat, which I'll show you in the other car, which we're going to pick up soon. The other one's pretty crusty, but I'm just going to get it for parts and Keep it for this thing, and you never know when you might need something later on down the track. So let's go on an adventure. So we're off to go get the crown today. Just stopped at the Yellow BP. It's interesting what you find here sometimes. It's like a dumping ground for stolen or damaged cars. It rained last night, so someone must have thumped something. There's not even any surface rust on the metal, so you can tell it was done last night. Don't know what happened there. And then this car over here, this Peugeot, parked here, nobody in it, windows down. I had a look. Look at the tumbler. It's definitely been stolen and just dumped here. Probably last night as well. This is the area where you're supposed to park your car trailers. And it's just been dumped here overnight. It's a bit of a known area for this. It's kind of amusing. This was a P-plater's car. A big crack on the windscreen as well. So someone must have had a bit of a mishap in the wet last night. Typical P-plater.
I was breathless, my heart restless. Every turn felt like it was wrong, but I kept going to show I was strong. Pushing to my own song, but you came, you made me see the weight I put on me was too much, too tough to heal. I needed time, I needed to be
So about an hour later, we're back at the same petrol station. I just wanted to pull in just to check the tie-down straps, because when you first put them on, they're tight. You drive about 5 kilometers and they tend to get a little bit loose. So we just pulled off just to make sure they're relatively tight. The car isn't going to fall off the trailer. And then she's all good. Interesting thing is, that black car is still there, that Volkswagen. And when I pulled up, the owner had rocked up. And his mate had borrowed it. And told him that it was parked here at the petrol station. Didn't tell him that it had a really big smashed side on it. So he's not too happy. Not that I'd be. Got some good friends. The interior's, it's pretty bad. I'm not going to use much of it. The headliner actually looks pretty good. Well, better than mine. Mine's got a big tear in it. This thing like has moss growing on it. Check this out. On the windscreen wiper. I'll show you when I get home. It's not as glary. Alrighty, here's the beast, all its rusty glory. Now I'm not keeping this shell. This shell is well past its use by date. I have fixed rusty cars before, but this is just ridiculous. It's been sitting under a tree for the past like 10, 15 years, I think. And as you can see, unless you are super desperate to fix this shell, I think most of it's just going to go in the bin. There's holes in the floor. I expected this because of the type of car and where it was sitting. As soon as you put a car under a tree and you leave it for a while, it just melts. Big holes. I am gonna probably chop this rear quarter off, probably about there and across, because I just want to keep this back quarter as a spare, because it's just that shape. Trying to make that shape again. If it's ever in a crash and something hits me from behind, I'll just keep it as a spare. The tailgate, this looks like a diorama. Looks like a little cave. You just need some little men in there. Look at the moss. It's rust the whole way along. There. These things are cactus. I'll take these. And the other one, they have little cool little flip covers. It's stuck open, I can't shut it. Little covers, mine didn't have that. And the rear glass on these is electric. There's a little knob on the dash that makes them come down. You actually have to open the glass before you can open the tailgate. So I'll have to try and hopefully jimmy that so I can open it and get to this. There's this trash in the back I have to get out. Look at that. There's so much rust in this thing. Along the edges. The roof is actually really, really good. Being under a tree, you think stuff would fall on it, but it hasn't. It's pretty straight. But yeah, this side's pretty much the same. This is like, I reckon that goes right into the, you hear it, look at it. It's just falling apart. Poor thing. This one, believe it or not, is actually newer. Going by the VIN number, it's newer than my other Crown. Oh, I've got my 18-inch Ford rims off my Hilux on it. It was the only wheels I had that would fit the stud pattern. Don't really suit the car. All the chrome is gone. I can't save any of that. This bumper, the bottom side of it, or what's left of it, I thought I might be able to keep it, but it's pretty gone too. So I might take the grill. They're solid alloy. It's a pretty nice bit of gear. They made things solid back in the 60s. But and I'll keep the guards. The guards are relatively okay. Just covered in moss. Both sides. And the bonnet, leading edge of the bonnet is rusty. These things come with a little 4-cylinder, carbureted. They also used them in forklifts over here back in the 60s and 70s, Toyota forklifts, and Toyota Dyners, little 4-ton trucks. Useless really, I wouldn't bother using one. No booster, they were just on manual pedal. It was a master cylinder, brake master cylinder and clutch master cylinder. There's the VIN tag, and they have these cool little fuel filters, which usually when they're new, they're all nice and shiny. And they have a little glass bowl underneath them. I've already got one. I'm going to clean it up and use it on mine, but I'll take that as well, just as a spare. The radiator's actually pretty good. Even the fins, not even collapsing. That must have got recoiled or fixed up sometime. But yeah, most of this is just going to get tipped. These things had electric aerials. It's stuck a little bit up at the moment. I will try and get a battery in there in a second. Oh yeah, the moss on the windscreen wiper. I will take this. It's a really cool screen. The actual mesh is a bit gone. I guess you could probably make a new bit of mesh and keep the frame and redo this part, but it's kind of period correct. I'd love to keep it and put it on my one. This is rust falling out of the doors when you open the door. It's pretty bad. This seat doesn't look too bad. I'm thinking of taking it out. It has this little cool, because these are bench seats, so they're bench seat front and rear, because they're a column shift. And this thing here was pulled out like an armrest, which is pretty nice. Check out the pattern. It's pretty cool. Listen to it when I shut it. All the rust falling out of it. I do love the shape. It's like Japanese Fairlane. I'll probably keep the steering wheel too. But yeah, not much else is salvageable in these things. Mint condition WD-40 for sale, $3.50. Just pull that plate out towards you. Just put it on it. Check out the moss that was growing behind this. It's like a garden. So front guards are off. They're not too bad. There's a little bit of rust, more in the chrome trim. And I think there was some at the bottom of one of the guards, but good for spare parts. And the front valance as well. Here's the front clip. Just saws all of it off. It was pretty fun to do actually. Just in case I ever get in a front accident with my good one and I need to replace the front end. And the actual rear pods, rear quarter pods. Tough trying to make this, again, that shape. If it ever gets hit, it'd be a little difficult. So I got that and the rear bumper which it's, I don't know, it's okay. But you never know. I'll keep it anyway. And this is the hall. It's a funny chute that goes under the front seats that comes out of the heater and goes under the front seats so your back passengers have warm feet. Just some trim, headlight bezels, a bunch of chrome strips, chrome headlight bezels, steering wheel, a jack, which is really important. It's hard to find a jack. That's the first thing that disappears at the wreck is someone pulls the jack out to jack up some other different car. So you can never find them. The cool fuel filter. When you polish these up, they look really cool. It's got a glass bowl and it's all aluminium. So when you polish it up, it looks really nice. Factory revision mirror, which I don't have. Sway bar. Mine was missing and little brackets and stuff, so that was cool. And a really good grill. I have 3 of these, but you can never have enough grills. It's like solid alloy. It's really cool. So that's all we have for now for this crown, this episode. There's going to be obviously heaps more to go with this car. Long way to go yet, but I thought I'd show you what I'm up to right now and the progress, and it'll be interesting to see how we get along with doing the brake conversions and the rest of the paint and the interior. Lots to do, and it'd be great if you tag along and some of the other projects we've got happening as well. So thanks for watching. See ya.